After we got back together, I changed. I fixed all the bad habits Alex disliked. No more endless text checking in, no irrational jealousy, no pointless arguments over trivial matters. When I found a lipstick tube in the passenger seat that wasn't mine, I didn't make a scene. I tucked it quietly into the glove compartment. But instead of relief, his expression darkened, and he slammed on the brakes. Alex had always carried an air of authority, his sharp features intimidating in their natural confidence. Now, though, he rubbed the bridge of his nose, looking drained. "That lipstick is Renee's," he said. "She stayed late at a work dinner last night. She drank too much and couldn't drive, so I gave her a ride home." He looked at me, giving an explanation he usually considered beneath him. "I've said it countless times. I only tolerate her because her father is my mentor. I have to look out for her." His eyes were intense. "Past, present, future. There's nothing between us." I stayed quiet, and for a moment, his calm facade faltered. A trace of helplessness flickered across his face. "What more do I need to do to make you believe me?" I met his gaze calmly. "I do believe you. I'm not upset." He blinked, stunned, before asking, "Then why have you been silent all this way?" I glanced at my watch, focused on getting to the airport. "You used to say you hated pointless chatter," I said, offering a weak excuse. "Just drop me at this corner." My attention was on traffic, and I didn't notice his displeasure. "You always get out at the next light," he said flatly. "The office is still over a mile from here." I finally met his scrutinizing gaze. "If not the office, where are you going?" Just then, my phone rang. "Renee." Alex's eyes softened and darted away guiltily. "Work call. I have to take it." All suspicion disappeared, and he unlocked the doors. "You can get out here." I unbuckled my seatbelt, but he stopped me. "Careful. Don't be clumsy." His voice softened. "I made a reservation at the restaurant you wanted to try. I promised I'd never miss another anniversary." "Happy 7 years, Chloe," he said. "See you tonight." My hand froze on the door handle. Memories of last year's missed anniversary barely registered now. "You should take that call," I said quietly. "Don't keep her waiting." After all, Renee couldn't wait. And neither could my flight. This year, and every anniversary after, I wouldn't be there. I made it onto the plane just as the gate was closing. Once seated, a wave of dizziness hit. I hadn't eaten breakfast. Reaching into my coat pocket, I found the 3 small pieces of chocolate Alex always tucked in there, a habit born years ago after I fainted from low blood sugar. The sweetness calmed my spinning head, but it couldn't touch the lingering bitterness. 7 years together. How did we end up here? At first, I believed his claims that Renee was just a family friend's daughter, someone he was obligated to favor at work. I told myself that explained her special treatment while he remained distant at the office. I endured months of ridicule from my department head while Alex stayed silent. Yet when the same manager raised a finger at Renee, he was promptly fired. Office gossip exploded. I wasn't Alex's secret girlfriend anymore. They called Renee the boss's girl. I forced myself to believe him, but the favoritism crept into our home life. Plans were canceled repeatedly for her calls. The breaking point came when I saw a photo in a coworker group chat. Alex, who claimed he was working late, was at a midnight movie with Renee, the very movie I had begged him to see together. "Everyone says you have to watch forever with the person you love most," I teased, tugging at his sleeve. "Cheesy rom-coms are a waste of time," he'd said without looking up. Yet in the photo, he smiled effortlessly at her. When I confronted him, my voice calm but icy, he barely flinched. "Were you following me?" The weight in my chest tightened. "Do I need to?" "The pictures are everywhere," I shouted, trembling. "If you want to break up, just say it." He remained composed, placing a small paper bag on the counter. The words on it, "Forever Chocolates," cut sharper than any insult. All the suppressed hurt, humiliation, and jealousy crashed over me. I grabbed the bag and threw it to the floor, spilling dozens of handmade chocolates. I didn't look up. I just stared at him. After a long silence, he turned and slammed the door. I froze, staring at the chocolates scattered at my feet. The anger faded, leaving only a hollow ache. I wanted to reach out, to fix things. But for 3 days, Alex didn't answer my calls or come home. I swallowed my pride and texted him. "I shouldn't have lost my temper. But you did lie about working late. Tonight is our 6th anniversary. I'll be at home. Can we talk?" The hours passed. No reply. At 11, I decided to go to his office. On my way, I ran into my former department head, drunk, aggressive, and cornering me in a dark alley. I screamed for Alex, but my calls went unanswered. If a passerby hadn't intervened, I don't want to think what would have happened. Finally, my phone rang. Relief surged as I saw Alex's name. I was about to scream his name. Hello. Renee's voice. Sweet, taunting, victorious. Alex is in the shower, she purred. Who is this? The pain was unbearable. My legs gave way. I dragged myself to the nearest police station. When it was over, the clock read 12:01 a.m. Our anniversary was officially over. Alex called then, cold and mocking. Learned your lesson? Tears streamed down my face. I whispered, broken. Alex, let's break up. A beat of silence, then a cruel laugh.
Fine.
Don't come crawling back. He hung up, without hesitation, without regret. At first, it was just insomnia. I'd lie awake for hours, replaying every conversation, wondering if I had been wrong. Maybe I'd overreacted. Maybe I'd judged him too harshly. I scrolled through our old texts like they were sacred records, searching for signs, something that could prove he'd loved me once, or that I wasn't crazy. But the longer I read, the angrier I became. 6 years. That was how long I'd given him. 6 years of my life, my loyalty, my love. And he'd tossed it all aside like it meant nothing. At 4 a.m, shaking with anger, I deleted his number, erased every photo, and ripped him out of my digital life. Then I dragged every reminder of him, his shirts, his watch, even that ridiculous coffee mug, into trash bags and dumped them in the alley behind my building. I thought it would feel good. Cleansing. But it was like swatting a mosquito, only to realize the blood on my hand was mine. The next day, I went to work and pretended nothing was wrong. I smiled when people talked to me. I even laughed when someone told a joke. But inside, there was a gaping wound. My heart had been rotting for a long time, attached to him like dead weight. Cutting it out didn't heal me. It just made me bleed. The real punch came a week later at a company-wide meeting. He stood at the front, polished, confident, perfectly composed. Losing me hadn't left a scratch. Across the room, Renee met his eyes and flushed. That night, sleep didn't come at all. I couldn't eat, couldn't think. Alex had no social media, so I started scrolling through Renee's accounts, dissecting every caption, every photo, hunting for traces of him. It ended the day I fainted at work from low blood sugar and woke up in the hospital. Alex showed up that evening. It had been 29 days since we broke up. He sat beside the bed, spinning the ring he still wore on his finger. You've lost weight, Chloe. My voice was hollow. I'm sorry. A small, satisfied smile curved his lips. That was how we got back together. They say it's best to rip off a bandage quickly. But for someone like me, someone already drained dry, that kind of clean break wasn't possible. So I decided to quit him slowly, quietly. I'd keep him in my life, but I'd start expecting nothing. It was like lowering myself into warm water and waiting for it to boil, hoping the pain would fade before it killed me. At first, pretending not to care was excruciating. But Alex seemed pleased with this new version of me. He'd smile, pat my head and say, "You're finally growing up, Chloe." 6 months in, the numbness became real. I no longer asked where he was. I no longer mentioned Renee. When he stayed out all night, I didn't text. I didn't even notice. Then one morning, I woke up and realized it was over. The part of my heart that belonged to him had finally died, crumbling away without noise or ceremony. For the first time in years, I smiled. That same afternoon, I sent my resume to a company in France that had tried to recruit me the year before. I'd turned them down then for him. They offered me the position. My flight was in 2 weeks. I didn't tell Alex. There was no point. Whatever we had wasn't love anymore, just habit. I became even more accommodating. I let things slide. But as I grew calmer, Alex seemed to grow restless. One night, as I was about to shower, he stopped me. His tone was oddly sharp. Is there anything you want to tell me? I blinked, exhausted.
No.
Should there be? He studied me for a long moment, then said quietly, forget it. But later that night, he pulled me close with a roughness that felt different, less passion, more anger. His breath was hot against my neck, his touch harder than usual. Renee's been giving you trouble at work, he murmured. Why didn't you tell me? I caught my breath. It's just work, I said between gasps. I was being professional. Like you told me to. That word, professional, stabbed like glass. It reminded me of the night he'd humiliated me in front of the entire staff after my manager set me up. Even an intern wouldn't make a mistake that stupid, he'd said coldly in front of everyone. Later that night, I tried to explain. You could have at least heard me out. He hadn't even looked up. At the office, I'm your boss, not your boyfriend. I don't mix business with personal matters. 2 days later, that same manager was fired for upsetting Renee. Everyone assumed I'd get the promotion. Instead, Renee, barely through her probation, was given the position. And now, here I was, following his rules perfectly, being the professional girlfriend. And somehow he was angry about that too. He suddenly flipped me over, the lamp glaring down. I shielded my eyes, but he caught my wrist and forced me to meet his gaze. You used to look at me, he said, his voice trembling with something between fury and fear. I looked at him because I had to, not because I wanted to. For a split second, his expression cracked, panic flashing across his face. Then he covered my eyes with his hand, as if he couldn't bear to see them anymore. He kissed me again and again, whispering my name. Chloe. Chloe. The next day, Alex called an emergency meeting and asked Renee for a project update. Every slide, every report, my work. Renee stammered, couldn't answer a single question. If you can't even follow your own projects, Alex said quietly, then maybe you shouldn't have this role. Silence. Then tears. Renee bolted from the room. By lunchtime, the office buzzed with gossip. Did you see how he looked at her? Think he's finally firing his favorite. I stood at the coffee machine, stirring my cup when someone nudged me. What do you think, Chloe? I think you're braver than I am, another said. If Alex ever yelled at me like that, I'd faint. I forced a small smile. I don't know. Probably just a lover's spat. They'll make up by tomorrow. Besides, they suit each other. The room went dead silent. I looked up. Alex stood in the doorway, thunder in his expression. By the time I reached his office, whispers followed me like shadows. The door clicked shut behind us. I jumped when he suddenly pulled me close from behind, his arms tight around my waist. Someone could see us. I hissed, pushing at his chest. He didn't move. He just looked at me, searching for something that wasn't there anymore. After a moment, he let go. His voice was low. There's nothing between me and Renee. He hesitated, then added, You don't have to believe me. I'll prove it. With my actions. It was everything I'd once begged him for. Promises. Certainty. But my flight was in 7 days. And I didn't want them anymore. Alex had started acting like someone else entirely. He began sending constant updates I didn't care to read, lingering in my space in bed, forcing my gaze onto him only to pull it away again, as though he couldn't tolerate what he saw. It was like a train that had once derailed, had somehow jumped back onto the tracks. Time seemed to rewind to a chapter before Renee existed. For a brief moment, I wondered if he ever had cared, in his own twisted, controlling way. I decided I owed it to him, and to myself, to end things face to face. I hadn't realized that my flight coincided with our 7-year anniversary. Tomorrow. That night, a photo popped up on my phone, a work dinner Alex had sent me. And then I saw it. Alex and Renee. Kissing. The scene was a mirror of our first night together, 7 years ago. But back then, it had been me in his arms. Now, it was her. Her eyes caught mine across the street, glinting with triumph. The lipstick she wore was bold, striking. I laughed, a hollow, bitter sound. My heart, which had been slowly bleeding, finally flatlined. For the first time in years, I felt nothing. Alex's POV. The past few days had been unbearable. Chloe. She was too calm, too understanding. Normally, she'd obsess over the anniversary months in advance, buzzing with excitement. But this year, if he hadn't reminded her in the car that morning, she might have completely forgotten. A creeping unease gnawed at him. Something precious was slipping through his fingers, and he didn't know how to stop it. He quickly typed a text. Handling an urgent matter here. Be good. See you at Sunset Terrace at 6:30. Before he could send it, a sweet voice called his name. Alex. Renee. And beside her, her father, with a nurse pushing his grandfather's wheelchair. After your meeting, dinner awaits, his grandfather said, brow furrowed. I invited your future in-laws. Her father smiled, benevolent but scheming. A year has passed, we should set a date. Your grandfather isn't well. Why drag him here? Alex asked. Let's just get this over with, he said coldly. I was going to meet you tomorrow anyway, Mr. Chin. The old men stiffened as Alex smoothly steered the conversation toward the development property. Renee fumbled, then realized too late. It's the Northwood property, she blurted, cheeks flushing. I used your company's seal to approve the preliminary documents last night. Within moments, his grandfather slumped unconscious. Mr. Chen was escorted out in rage, and Renee froze, her plan undone. You've been using me, she whispered, panic and realization blending in her eyes. Alex's calm was terrifying. I'm done pretending. Your privilege and schemes won't control me anymore. You ruined someone else's life to climb faster. Her eyes widened at the mention of Chloe. That name had struck a nerve, his only weakness. Rage flared inside her. Chloe submitted her resignation this morning. I thought you should know. Alex's pupils narrowed. He glanced at his watch. Do what you will, he said, turning sharply. Renee's triumphant voice followed him. She saw us last night. The look on her face, priceless. Alex stormed home. Chloe's phone went straight to voicemail. Everything looked untouched, her pillow, her closet. His chest ached, but the initial panic began to settle. Then he saw the nightstand. Their matching rings. Beneath them, a note. We're done. You can have this back. Her phone's automated message repeated the words, each echo a poison dart. An unknown number flashed. Hands trembling, he answered. Mr. Vance? This is the manager at Sunset Terrace, a polite voice said. It's 6:31 p.m. We were expecting you and your girlfriend. Do you need us to hold the proposal setup? His heart sank, but there was no time for despair. Over the following days, he fought off frantic demands from his grandfather and Renee's father, regaining control of his company piece by piece. 29 days later, the family business was fully under his command. He boarded a plane, ring in hand, the dull ache of loss echoing in his chest. She had gone too far this time. Leaving the country wasn't just a rebellion, it was a statement. And then he remembered the kiss, the one she had witnessed. His Chloe, angry and betrayed. A surge of determination coursed through him. He would find her. When Simon leaned in, my mind went completely blank. A warm tingle spread from my cheek, where his lips had brushed, down my neck and throughout my body. He pulled back quickly. I was frozen, touching my face. In France, a cheek kiss was normal, but this felt different. I'm sorry, you're just too cute, Simon said, his sea-green eyes twinkling. I wanted to kiss you, but I didn't want to overstep. Aurora, he continued, using my English name at work. I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? My coworkers had teased me about his supposed crush for weeks, but I dismissed it. Simon was half Russian, half French, a prodigy who had built his career by 30. Impossibly attractive, impossibly talented. We'd connected when he found me asleep at my desk one late night, buried in French vocabulary. He draped a soft blanket over me. Working late isn't a good habit, he'd said, stern yet gentle. Embarrassed, I tried to apologize, but he grinned. But hard work deserves a reward, he said, blending French and Russian in a way that made me smile. You teach me English, I teach you French. Deal? With his guidance, my French improved quickly. A major client came through, boosting my career, but also drawing envy. A coworker tried to turn the team against me using my nationality. Simon shut it down publicly, praising my work and reprimanding the offender. I realized then how protective he was. I rarely thought of Alex anymore. My departure had been final, and I had no expectations of him. He wasn't the type to appear in France like some romantic movie hero. And then I heard it. Chloe. I looked up. He was here. Not supposed to be here. Furious, storming toward me. Before I could react, he grabbed me in a crushing hug, his ragged breath against my ear. Mr. Vance. Simon's voice broke, through my shock. You know Aurora? Alex finally noticed Simon and loosened his hold only slightly, sliding an arm possessively around my shoulders. I forgot to mention, Alex said smoothly, voice like glass, grip iron. Chloe is my girlfriend. I froze. Let go of me. I demanded. We broke up. Simon's gaze hardened. Let her go. Even if you're a client, I won't allow harassment. The two men, equal in height, equally striking, stood in tense silence, the air electric. Alex let out a cold, humorless laugh. Your employee? It clicked. Alex had been the massive client I'd just signed. My hard-won success suddenly stung like a slap. I stopped struggling. Alex, let go, I said, calm now, offering Simon a reassuring look. We need to talk. Finally, the conversation we'd been avoiding took place. That night, Alex began, pinching the bridge of his nose. Renee kissed me. It was fast. I didn't know how to react. I know you were angry. I'm sorry. Can we go home? I laughed bitterly. I don't care what happened with Renee, I said firmly. When I said we were done, Alex, I meant it. He had chased me not out of love, but out of pride. My leaving bruised his ego, not his heart. His face went blank. Never before had I seen him like this. Why? He asked, stunned. I had been the one asking that question for years. Now, I understood. There was no why. There is no why. It's over. I don't love you. People break up, it happens. You're just trying to punish me, he said, his confidence resurfacing.
Fine.
If you want to be done, I'll win you back. Alex could be relentless. Pride drove him, not love. He inserted himself into my life. At the office, my favorite cafe, everywhere I went. One afternoon, he cornered me during a client dinner. Knuckles white, voice trembling, he admitted. I was a terrible boyfriend last year. I mishandled Renee. But I never cheated on you. You can't punish me for that. He pulled the ring I'd left behind from his pocket. You said you wanted to trade this for a wedding ring. Let's go home and get married. But I felt nothing. Years of manipulation had taught me that promises meant nothing. I met his gaze and took the ring. On our 6th anniversary, I said, steady, I called you over and over. You never answered. I was at the office, he said quickly. Renee just. That night, I cut him off softly. I was almost raped by my old boss. A stranger saved me. I hated you that night. I hated you for being indifferent. I hated myself for staying. Color drained from his face. He opened his mouth, but no sound came. The real problem wasn't Renee, I continued. Being with you was exhausting. I always felt replaceable. I worked to earn your approval. Now I know the only approval I needed was my own. I thought I couldn't live without you, but I live better. With that, I tossed the ring out the window. He never spoke again. After that night, Alex never came to the office again. The last time I saw him was at the final project meeting. Simon and I represented our company. Alex was there as the client to sign off. The drive over was suffocatingly silent. I sat in the front, Alex in the back.
He didn't speak.
I knew this was it. After today, our paths might never cross again. That night, a freak blizzard hit. My eye twitched with tension. It happened in an instant. Black ice. The car spun uncontrollably. Simon fought the wheel, but it was hopeless. I slammed against the window. Headlights cut through the storm, heading straight for us. In that split second before impact, a familiar scent wrapped around me, and strong arms shielded my head.
Alex.
My ring pressed against my cheek through his coat. Sorry, Chloe, he murmured. When I woke, Alex was in the ICU. My left arm was broken. Simon had minor injuries, the result of bracing for impact. He came to see me, face heavy with guilt. I didn't blame him. Self-preservation is instinct, and no one sane would risk their life without thinking. Outside the ICU, 5 lawyers arrived from the States, papers in hand. My eyes skimmed them, the legal jargon mostly meaningless, except for one line that made my heart stop. In the event of Alex Vance's death or incapacitation, all assets are to be unconditionally transferred to Chloe Evans. Irrevocable. Even by him. I buried my face in my hands and finally let myself cry. At the moment of life and death, he had spoken the only words he knew. I love you. And he had apologized. One of the lawyers, an old friend of Alex, explained the whole story. The corporate war with his grandfather, the forced engagement to Renee. Alex was trying to protect the company, he said. He would rather appear ruthless than show weakness. My arm healed. Alex remained unconscious. I went to Sunset Terrace, the restaurant where he had planned to propose, and sat by the window. The sun was fading. At the next table, a young man got down on one knee. The girl said yes. Applause echoed. As a waiter cleared the table, I overheard him mention, "Remember that guy last year? The super handsome one who booked the whole place. He planned everything down to the last detail. And then he never showed. Wonder what happened." The sun dipped fully, leaving only a soft pink glow. Beautiful, but it stung my eyes. Unbidden tears fell. No one else could make me feel such a crushing, conflicting mix of love and resentment. I returned to the hospital. He lay still, as he had for weeks. His face sharp, perfect, like he had never left my side. "I've been thinking," I said softly. I don't accept your apology. You had your reasons, but so did the pain you caused me. Alex, we can't go back. But my voice dropped to a whisper. The future is negotiable. Epilogue, the purpose of a harbor. Alex dreamed. He saw her at 19, a new recruit at the college club he presided over. At their first team dinner, she had ordered steak well done. Someone had laughed. He watched the blush creep down her neck. She had been embarrassed, shy, but she smiled politely. That girl, who had tripped in heels and sneakers alike, had grown into a woman who navigated the treacherous world of business with grace and grit, a small, resilient boat, unsinkable. He had loved that strength and wanted to be her safe harbor. But over time, protection became possession. His promise to shield her became a cage. He resented her dependence, the very dependence he had encouraged. He forgot she was always his equal, a partner in every battle. He had tried to fight her wars, telling himself it was for their future, ignoring the present, their pain, her fear, the vibrant life she deserved. A ship in harbor is safe, but it is not what ships are built for. He should have been her harbor, a place to return, not a trap. He loved her, but he had loved her all wrong. Then he heard her voice. The future is negotiable. Eyes snapping open, he knew, if she forgave him, he would spend his life making amends. If she didn't, he would spend it letting her go, because this time, her choice would be the only one that mattered.